The 3 weeks off was a nice little break, huh?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. This is Chris Hyman from the Phoenix RIA. We are back for our first show for 2023. We are live on my Facebook page, Luke's Facebook page, obviously the Phoenix RIA page, and then both the Viking Boys YouTube channel and the Just for Flips YouTube channel. So you can watch this.
Heck yeah.
Everywhere, pretty much. So it's 2023. We're kicking off the new year. I think we got some good news to share. We also got some, I think it's going to be a good year, honestly. I'm going to just give you.
It's absolutely going to be a great year, Chris.
Yeah. I'm going to give you just a little background, kind of national background, and some Phoenix background. Just for you national guys, some people watching outside of the Arizona area. We're at like 520,000 listings. And to give you an idea of what 2018 and 19 and what an average market looks like is like 750,000 listings. So we're still low.
Nice.
So that's good news. And then obviously for the Phoenix market, we're sitting there at 16,000 listings, and you got to remember, kind of a flat, not a buyer's, not a seller's market is like 30,000 listings.
Right.
So you got, I think, three good things going into the new year 2023. You got 16,000 listings currently, 16,200 as of this morning.
Nice.
Bouncing around that 3.5 mark, which should bring interest rates under 6%, and then
hooray!
And you got the spring, so you got low inventory.
Yep.
You have, not low interest rates, but I think 5.5 is going to be the new normal. Get rid of that 3% out of your mind. Get rid of doing 12,000 transactions in Phoenix like we did in like 2021. Just to get rid of that. Those are all stuff in the past. And just know that 7,500, 8,000 transactions a month for Phoenix could be the normal. And 5% interest rates, so between 5 and 6 is probably the new normal. And it's springtime, and if you look at springtime, it's always better. I'm going to give you, based on that information, I'm going to give you two interesting points. In September, when interest rates were in the 5s, you saw a spike in the market. Although it was short-lived, it was a spike.
Right.
And you saw a little bit of a spike in the market in November and December, which you never see buyers spike in November, December. Never. The only reason it spiked is because you saw interest rates once again drop into that 5. So that 5 number is going to kind of be, I think, your baseline for all of 2023. If you see it dip in the 5s, you're going to see more buyer activity than if it's obviously 6 or 7. So that's just kind of some news going into 2023. And Luke and I, and this is my opinion, Luke's going to share his opinion in 1 second, with, not the 12,000 units per month volume in Phoenix like we saw, you're going to have, call it 7,500, 8,000. My goal in 2023 is to teach people and educate people how to monetize every transaction, whether it's a Novation, whether it's creative finance, whether it's a listing, whether it's a wholesale. If you get a lead, you need to monetize it. So
don't let it slip through the cracks.
Exactly. So, what do you think about that, Luke?
No, absolutely. And I was going to kind of hit really quick on what we're seeing real quick for the beginning of the new year. So based kind of on what Chris was just mentioning, we are seeing a huge uptick just in this first, 10 days of January already. And, take that for what you will, but we've listed three houses within the last 4 days. We got three under contract. One of them was
3 for 3. You can't complain about that.
Yeah, one of them was over asking. One was 15,000 over asking. So we are listing a little bit more aggressive than we ever were, obviously in 2022. But I mean, it's just a really good sign. It's a really good sign that, and we knew this was going to happen. We knew that things tend to slow down in the holidays, of course. But I mean, it was surprising. I mean, we had another property that we had listed for, it's been listed for like 4 or 5 months now. It's over in Tucson. It's one of the last two. Jake and I have 2 bad flips left that are from 2022 that we're going to lose money on. But we didn't know how bad this one was going to get. And because we've just been sitting on it for a while. And guess what? First week of January comes and we received a full price cash offer on the property. And it's been sitting, it's been, and obviously we've been lowering it, but we haven't lowered it for a little while. And so just the fact that we finally got a really solid cash offer on that is also, it's very promising. So I mean, from what we're noticing, things are definitely starting to move in the right direction again. We listed 2 more houses this morning. Our agent,
no offers yet?
Our agent said we've had a ton of action already, though. Some of the fact
so
that
it's not 2021. You don't have any offers.
Yeah, not yet. No one's waived appraisals yet. Unfortunately, it's ridiculous. But no, I mean, it's just the fact that we're already having a ton of activity on properties that we just listed, and the ones that we listed beginning of last week already went under contract. It's a really good sign. And again, we're going to see where it ends up taking us. We're going to see how long it lasts, all that good stuff. But we are probably, whether this is the right move or not, we're probably going to get a little bit more bullish just for this first quarter is kind of what we're talking about.
Well, it's just so historically, to that point, you just said, well, the holidays are usually slower, but this holiday we saw an uptick in acquisitions because interest rates did dip in November. So once again, we're back in that 5.5% range, or back in that range, and we're also heading into, I mean, it's always busier January through, call it, May.
Yep.
So back to supply and demand, we don't have a bunch of supply. Now, granted, a lot of people probably didn't list in November and December, right?
Correct.
So you're going to have those listings that people like, okay, maybe we should move. They're going to come on the market. So, but
and to your point, we held off on listing properties. We had properties that were ready to be listed. We already had photos taken and everything, and we were talking about listing them around that time frame of December 27th, December 28th, and it's like, you could look at it either way. It's an extra couple days on the market. We just decided to hold off. We decided to wait a week. We said, let's eat another week of hard money. It's not fun to do, but at least the beginning of the new year, you put that on as a new listing, and we've seen some good results from it.
Yeah. So, that's basically, I think, what you're going to see is, we hit kind of the low point at 15,900 actives, and we're just sitting there at 16,200. But to your point, you added 3 more today, but 3 more are coming off the market. So I think we're in a really good spot going into the springtime. So
I agree.
That's just our take on it. So, with that being said, transactions as a volume number will be down in 2022. You're not going to see the 10,000 and 12,000 actives that you saw, or not actives, houses going under contract. So what I'd like to do is discuss all the different options that you have and which bucket those houses should go into based on what they look like. So
absolutely,
some options for the low equity leads that come into your office are, obviously you can list it.
Yeah. Which we're doing a little bit of all that. We're listing one on Friday that is going to be exactly that. We closed on it. I'm sorry. No, we bought it. Wow, when was that? No, that was last week. So bought it last week. We just cleaned out on last Friday. We closed on it. We just cleared out all of the furniture because they left. How we buy properties is that a lot of times they leave their furniture and stuff in there. So we just did a complete haul out for all the trash and everything. We're doing a cleaning, and we very rarely do this, but exactly like you said, we're just going to list it.
Yeah.
We're not going to touch it. We're not going to put any paint on it. We're not going to do any flooring. We're not going to do anything to it at all. We literally are just cleaning it out and listing it.
But you probably
that's
didn't
one
have
option.
the giant margin that you normally would have. It was probably a pretty clean house, right?
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. Clean house. It's in an area, where it's in Prescott. So it's on 4.5 acres. And so our thought is that whoever's going to be interested in this property is going to love the fact that it's a clean house with a lot of land.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be at a decent price. And so, you know what, we just decided to just go ahead and list this one. So that's one option.
Yeah. So, but you don't actually necessarily need to close on a low equity lead if you don't want to. But if you're going to refer it to a real estate agent, I assume you have an agent in your office, right? You're not going to take the 25%.
My wife,
huh?
Sage, my wife does all
Yeah, Sage, your wife.
Yeah.
So if you're going to take advantage of that full 2.5%, 3% listing fee that you're going to get, you're not going to refer it off to your friend Joe, the agent, for a 25 or 20% referral fee, right?
No, definitely not. Yeah.
Definitely need to monetize it. So another low equity option is and then it's what everybody's talking about, right? The creative finance option, the subject to option. Right?
Yeah.
So obviously with that, if you have somebody that needs to sell now, but they don't have any equity, but they have a 3 or 3.5% interest rate.
Yeah.
Well, since we're not going to see those ever again, probably in our lifetime, we're going to see the 5 and 5.5% interest rate. That's a way to add a deal to your portfolio. Maybe it's one of your Airbnbs, because what would it cost you in points to buy it down to 3.5%?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to cost you a chunk. Yeah. That's for sure.
So obviously, as one of the ways to keep houses is long-term rental or Airbnb. Airbnb is getting a little bit more difficult with all the laws, the new statutes in Arizona. Have they changed the statutes in Prescott at all?
They haven't yet. No,
they haven't. They're still
don't say that.
probably putting it together. I don't want to
say that yet.
But a subject to option, like I said, is a way to keep a house in your portfolio, or believe it or not, there's a way to wholesale a subject to, because your end buyer, I call them a penalty box buyer, may not have the ability to get financing, but they have cash, right? They got some down payment money. So
absolutely.
So you can, I like to do a subject to, where you do it subject to, and then you sell the house on what's called a land contract. That gives you the ability to take the house back if they don't perform.
Right.
Some people just take it subject to and sell that off, and then they don't have any control of the deal in the middle.
Yeah.
So if you do it on a land contract, you have a way to keep the ability to stay in the middle of that transaction. That way, if your buyer doesn't pay the payment, it doesn't leave your seller in a bad predicament where they could end up on a foreclosure on their record because their buyer is not paying the payment. So
exactly.
Definitely a way to do that. Obviously, you have your high equity leads that we can do two things. You can wholesale it.
Yeah.
And just make sure you're not on the other end with Jake being your wholesaler, because he will grind you.
I'll tell him. And I'll tell Jake that Chris is saying that you're getting him too low.
Or you can do a novation. So, novation's kind of the new keyword in the business, and that's basically the ability to take a house that you get a seller with good equity and not just take the small wholesale fee, and try to get like a bigger wholesale fee.
For sure.
A lot of people are using the word kind of concierge service, and you're taking, let's just say, something worth $200. If you're Luke, you're buying that for $120.
Correct.
And then on this clean deal that he just talked about on the previous one, he could then put it under a novation contract, then relist it on MLS. For maybe $180, $190, and and have the potential of making a Novation wholesale deal
Yeah.
$50,000 or $60,000.
And so how that's working is, you're guaranteeing your seller, you're guaranteeing them a certain amount, so that's where it can kind of work for them too. But then, we get the upside of whatever it can go over that.
Yeah, and so that's obviously those are kind of for your clean deals, like the ones that
Yes.
are kind of, maybe a paint and carpet or something like that, or maybe a just kind of, get it broom ready, clean.
Yeah.
Then obviously the ones that are just like they never threw out a box, or they had 12 cats, or any of those might fit in your wholesale deal, where you're going to just have to wholesale them because you need a good quality fix and flipper. And Luke
Right.
partners on fix and flips. I ran into Brent Daniels today, and he says Luke does partnerships on fix and flips.
We do. We've done a few with Brent. There've been some good ones actually. We're actually looking at one right now. That same thing. He's got a good deal that he's bringing to the table, and he's looking at potentially wholesale. And it's one of those things where in this market, like we said, this is why we talk about different exit strategies, is because you have to have an option for everything. And he's looking at this property like, okay, I could maybe wholesale this and make $3,000 to $5,000, or he can kind of partner with us because we've got a good set of crews and everything. We've got a good eye for design, so we can partner on a project like this, and maybe we make 40. And so it's like, do you want to make 3,000 on a wholesale, or do you want to split 40? And so what we'll do is we'll do 50-50 splits on stuff like that. So it's, we each make 20, and it's a pretty simple flip, and you get that puppy back on the market and you each make 20, versus making $3,000. So again, just looking at every option. I mean, and so how we do it is we look at every property. First, we look at it to wholesale. Can we get a decent size wholesale on this property? If we can't get a decent size wholesale, then we look at the risk factor of what the wholesale will be versus what the flip will be. And obviously for a while there, the last 6 months of 2022 was scary. Flipping was not a lot of fun. You had to make sure you were real careful. And I mean, and I'm not saying that's over. We're going to see how this goes into 2023 as well. But again, you got to look at that risk factor. So for us, it's that same thing that we do with Brent. Okay, do we want to wholesale this thing and make 10, or is it maybe 15, or is it maybe 20? But if we flip this, how much are we going to be, how much are we going to be missing out on, right? If we can wholesale it and make 10, but we can flip it and make 50, and it's a pretty quick flip, we're going with the flip for 50. Where if it's one of those things where, maybe we flip this thing and maybe it's a large project, and maybe we're going to make 25, 30, but we can wholesale it for 15. We're going to take a wholesale for 15 versus maybe doing a pretty in-depth flip to make, 30. That's just kind of, and again, there's not really any set number for us. It's not like it's like a set in stone, a difference between the flip and the wholesale. It's more so kind of feeling out the temperature, feeling out like the difference of, how difficult the flip is going to be, right? If it's one of those ones where we got to come in, we got to do a new roof, we got to do new windows, we need to convert, a space back to a garage, and it's a full renovation or whatever it is. If it's a large flip like that we think realistically could end up taking 3 to 4 months by the time we get it back on the market, we're not going to take that chance right now, because no one knows what the market can do. Some people think it's going to continue going down. Some people think that it could come back up. That's just not a risk we're willing to take. So we're making sure that all the flips that we are doing right now are pretty quick and easy flips.
Yeah. And so I don't think that maybe you did this in the last time, kind of pre-June, but have you set a limit for your company on your risk threshold of how many flips you're going to keep in the portfolio?
So Jake and I did talk. We're kind of setting a plan to not really even look at too many properties as rentals this year, to buy as rentals. But flip wise, we do want to get back up to where we were at before when it comes to flipping. But again, we want the risk to be very low, which obviously who doesn't want the risk to be low when you're flipping?
Right.
But we're going to be very safe with whatever we do decide to take down and flip. We're not going to be taking on, we had that project that we did last year where, it took us 10 months to flip it because we moved 1 million walls, and it was a 1.8 $1.1 million house, and we dodged a bullet. We got lucky. We got a full price offer when we listed it, and they closed on it. So I mean, they asked for a $15K credit at the end of the closing, and this was right before it hit the fan in 2022. So we dodged a bullet on that. But again, those are the projects, those are the properties that we're staying away from. Is something that's going to take 9 months where, if the market drops another 20%, you're screwed. Because, we had a few of those properties, and we're just now almost out of the thick of it of getting rid of all of them. So,
yeah. So what you're saying is your risk tolerance is going to be based on the rehab. If it's
for sure
an easy one, you're going to do it. If it's an expensive one, you're going to pass.
Yep, exactly. So anyone that's been, shooting me over some wholesales, and if you wonder why I've been turning some of them down, just know it's probably because the rehab was too big.
Yeah.
We're trying to stay quick and easy right now, and inexpensive for rehab. So we're looking heavily into condos, townhomes, mobiles, stuff like that. So that's the stuff that we feel like we can get in and out of quickly.
Man, if you're ever a new flipper, I always kind of say that's a good place to start is condos and townhomes, right?
Yeah.
You got 100 comps in the complex or 50 comps in the complex.
Yeah.
You have to deal with a roof, landscaping, pool, like
typically windows, they're model matches a lot of times.
You're just going in and doing the inside. You're not changing the wall structure, because the wall structure is the first story and the second story.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what we're, I almost want to say getting back to your bread and butter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, again, when the market is kind of uneasy, when no one really knows which way it's going to go, that's just kind of what we're doing to staying safe.
Yeah. So, we talked about your low equity, whether you list it as, I think bring a listing agent on your team. Don't let that lead go to a 25% referral.
Yeah.
You can do your subject to, great way to add properties to your portfolio or to your Airbnb portfolio with low interest rates, because those aren't coming back. And generally you're going to get lower down payments. I mean, I'm getting a 6.75 on a refi on a rental property right now.
Okay.
So, that's not terrible, but
no, it's not.
They want 25% into it. So on that subject to low equity, you don't have to have a lot of cash in the deal.
Yeah.
Then, like I said, a lot of equity. You got novations that we talked about. You got wholesale, and then obviously we just talked about fix and flip. So these are all different avenues to exit. And then, right now, with prices, and then obviously the other exit is the buy, the hold, right? So, but this might not be the greatest time to hold with interest rates the way they are, with the prices the way they are.
Right.
Obviously, rents have continued to tick up. They've softened in the last 6 months. Have you seen that?
Yeah, for sure.
So, rents have softened a little bit, but, those are kind of.
We've noticed they've softened a little more in Maricopa. Our rents haven't softened quite as much in Yavapai up in Prescott.
Okay. Yeah, but smaller markets.
Exactly. For sure.
Yeah. So those are kind of all the exit strategies that are kind of available as an investor. And like I said, our goal is, and if you want to reach out to Luke or I, and if you don't understand the different exit strategies, Luke and I will be around next Tuesday. We'll be here at 2:00, but we'll also be at the Live Phoenix RIA. We're going to be there for all of 2023 at Orange Tree Country Club at 56th Street in Shea. We're doing a panel next week. Luke, myself, Eric Sage, Rich, Jack, lots of different people,
right?
And talking about all these different exit strategies, and we're going to put every expert in the same room. And
that's what I was going to say. That's what's going to be cool is that if you have something specific that you're really interested in learning about, there's going to be someone there for pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Rich obviously has novations down. He's got those. He knows those like the back of his hand. And then you've got obviously Eric. I mean, Eric was sub 2. When he starts talking about it, I start losing my mind because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't understand. Like he's so insanely smart with sub 2 stuff. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
So just kind of hitting on every aspect.
So if you guys are around next weekend, Orange Street Country Club from like 4:30 to 7, we're going to have a panel. You're going to have an expert in every subject talking about that subject. So, and then the goal is for the rest of the spring is to bring back specific, exit strategies, Novation subject to, and have them all come back and kind of teach us A to Z on how to do that particular exit strategy. So
right.
It should be a good year for 2023. Like I said, it's starting off well with interest rates lower and inventory lower, and Luke's even been the benefit of that. he's got to start raising his prices soon.
Absolutely, we will. I'm looking forward to it. But heck yeah.
So if you have any questions, you're watching on any of the channels, send us some questions. We'll answer them. We are on episode 36, by the way. So we've done 36 of these. We are going to be around. We do take a weekend off if we got family stuff going on, or, we obviously took a couple weeks off during the holidays. But I don't know when we started. I think we started, like February of last year. So we were able to get through, 36 episodes. So hopefully we'll tag on another, 40 or some episodes this year.
I think we did pretty good. Like you said, honestly, missed a couple weeks for holidays, birthdays, stuff like that. But we were pretty consistent here.
Yeah. I know we missed 4th of July week. We missed a couple weeks. Thanksgiving week we took off. Christmas and New Year's week we took off. But you guys also, if you want to, you have a specific subject you'd like us to cover, or we definitely be willing to do that. But we'll be right here keeping you up to date on all the stats and all the exit strategies and acquisition strategies. Brent Daniels called Luke the best cold caller in the country. There you go.
That's what we do. That's what we do all day long. It's fun. Heck yeah. Oh, here we got a question.
Yeah, what's up, Luke? This is Anthony in Kansas City. Market found you through the videos from Brent Daniels' channel. Love your idea of cold calling while playing Madden.
Heck yeah.
I do the same thing with NBA 2K.
Hey, check it out right here. Hold on. Boom. There it is right there. I'm about to dive in. I'm not even kidding. Every time after we finish, after Chris and I finish our podcast, I jump back on the dialer from probably 3 to 5. So get a couple more hours in here. Love it though. That's awesome.
Is there a time that you say is the best time? If someone only has 2 to 3 hours a day to jump on the dialer, what are those 2 or 3 hours?
It's tough because obviously it really depends on your schedule, but you definitely get more answers later on in the day because I think obviously you have more people that are home from work and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's so I think that you have a good time frame there. You have a good window, and then I think you also have a good window in the morning, earlier in the morning. But I'm 9 to 5. Like that's like when I'm working, it's 9 to 5, and so for me personally, my time, I have a family though, so. If I'm on the dialer, if I'm calling it from 6 to 8 o'clock at night or something like that, I don't think my wife's going to be too happy with me if I'm working during the day and then doing that. So I call between 9 and 5. I don't think that there's like some time frame that's just like magically so much better, between that time frame. Obviously, if you call around lunchtime, I think you also get a little bit more answers just because people will actually start answering their calls when they're at lunch. But again, everyone's different. For me, it just doesn't pencil for me to call at that time.
Yeah, well,
but if you don't have kids, you don't have a family, go for it.
Yeah.
Just call till 9 p.m.
Yeah, don't call at midnight.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. So yeah, I feel like 5 to 7 is most answers. I agree. 5 to 7 is a good time because again, you got people off work and they're answering their phones, and so. I agree with you. That's a good time.
Someone said the sound is clear, no birds in the background. They must have been talking about your
Do you remember
your broadcast from the patio?
Yes, it was when we had who was on with us? It was Brian North. It was Brian North was on with us. And I had just gotten done golfing. And so as soon as I finished, I just hopped onto the patio and I was on this. It sounded like I was in, I don't even know what those are called, like a thing with all the, is it an estuary? Aviary. I think it's an aviary. I don't know. But yeah, it was ridiculous. But yeah, no birds today.
Well, cool. It's thanks again for everybody for joining us. We just kind of keep these to 30 minutes. If you are either on my YouTube channel or Luke's YouTube channel, there's a lot more episodes, a lot more content. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channels. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook, wherever you're watching. Share with your friends. Definitely would like to grow this channel or channels, I guess is probably the right word.
Yeah.
And keep bringing you guys everything we know about what's happening in the market.
Absolutely. And let's go have a solid 2023, right?
Yeah. Like I said, I think the market's going to be good. Volume's just going to be a little bit less, but all you need to do is, get your little slice of the volume, right? It's
right.
like, for me, it's probably 30 to 40 houses.
Yeah.
For Luke, it's probably, how many fix and flips are you going to try to keep on the books?
Our goal for this year, obviously another thing that's just tough about it is not knowing which direction the market's going to go. So that's something that, again, we've talked about. You can set goals, but you also just have to keep in mind with where the market's at and what it's doing. And so the goal though is to do 100 fix and flips.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So 100 fix and flips is the goal. That's the plan. But again, a lot of it is depending on what the market does. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. We're off. We'll be back next week. And like I said, if you want to see the live event with a Novation guy, a Subject 2 guy, a Wholesale guy, Airbnb, there's going to be a panel next Tuesday from 4 to 7:30, Orange Tree Golf Club. I'll be there. Luke will be there. And we'll be
I like it.
Cool.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
See you guys.